Okay, so, everyone's talking about digital real estate these days.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be thinking, wait, how can I own like a piece of the internet?
Right.
And that's what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking specifically at Giantserver Properties,
Okay.
this South African platform founded by an entrepreneur named Chocast.
Interesting.
And they're letting people buy virtual properties,
Okay.
which is basically like owning a slice of a really powerful server.
Oh, wow.
And get this, they say they want to create 500 tech millionaires by 2030 through this whole thing.
Really?
Pretty ambitious, right?
Yeah, that's quite a goal.
So today we're going to figure out what Giantserver actually offers investors and tenants.
Okay.
See if it's legit, all above board.
Mm-hmm.
And explore like who might actually benefit from this kind of investment.
Sounds good.
So what's interesting here is that they're taking this like traditional idea of real estate
Yeah.
and applying it to the digital world.
Right. It's like just like with physical property.
Mm-hmm.
You can rent it out. It can go up in value.
Right.
They're saying that these digital properties can do the same thing.
So break it down for me. Like, what exactly are these digital properties?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm getting like a deed to a virtual plot of land.
Right. You're not buying a physical space. I think of it this way. Every time you go online,
Mm-hmm.
you're interacting with servers that are storing and processing data.
Okay.
And these servers are like the backbone of the internet.
Right.
And what Giantserver is selling is a portion of these high-powered servers.
Okay.
It's kind of like dividing up a physical building into individual units.
I see.
Yeah.
So then what kind of companies would actually need to rent this server space?
Okay, so
Give me some real-world examples.
think about any online business that deals with a lot of traffic or sensitive data,
Okay.
like e-commerce giants, for example. They need servers that can handle huge spikes in traffic.
Right, especially during like big sales events and things.
Exactly, yeah. And
Yeah.
media companies streaming movies and music
Oh, yeah.
rely on powerful servers to deliver that content seamlessly.
Without all the buffering.
Right,
So
exactly.
the next time I'm like binge watching my favorite show,
Yeah,
it could be thanks to a Giantserver property
Yeah.
somewhere, keeping that stream going.
quite possibly, yeah.
Wow. And it goes beyond just entertainment too, right?
Absolutely. Think about online gaming.
Oh, yeah, of course.
With these complex virtual worlds, millions of players interacting in real time.
Right. They need servers that can keep up.
Exactly. Yeah. And even healthcare providers, they rely on powerful servers to store patient data securely
Oh, right.
and to run these telehealth platforms.
So these companies are essentially the tenants of these digital properties.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you so far. But how does this translate into profit for Giantserver
Right.
and for the people investing in these properties?
So Giantserver has two main ways of making money.
Okay,
And those methods, in turn, generate income for the investors.
gotcha.
So first, just like you'd rent out a physical property, companies pay to rent these server spaces.
Right.
And Giantserver's website, it lays out these different rental rates for different types of properties.
Oh, interesting.
So for example, a Class A property that's hosting like 5 commercial websites,
Okay.
that could earn around 69 Rand per month per tenant,
Good.
paid out to the property owner.
So if I own that property, I'm basically like a digital landlord,
Right, exactly.
getting a cut of that rental income.
Mm-hmm.
I like the sound of that passive income.
Yeah.
What's the second way they make money?
The second way is through appreciation and resale.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about how the internet is constantly growing?
Right.
Well, as the demand for server space increases, these digital properties could become more valuable over time.
Makes sense.
Just like a piece of land in a booming city.
Right, like beachfront property in the metaverse or something.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
And Giantserver even provides these recommendations on resale values.
Oh, wow.
Suggesting like a 50% increase for some properties after a certain period.
So you're potentially earning in two ways. Then you've got that steady rental income,
Yeah,
and then maybe a big payout if you decide to sell later on.
exactly.
But there's this phrase I keep seeing in their website.
Okay.
It says fixed annuity terms apply.
Right.
What does that actually mean for investors?
So that's a key detail that sets Giantserver apart,
Okay.
and it tries to mitigate the risk for investors.
Okay.
Basically, they're guaranteeing a minimum return on your investment, regardless of whether your specific digital property is rented out or not.
Wait, really? So even if no companies are renting my server space, I'm still guaranteed some return?
That's the idea, yes.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
It's certainly an attractive feature,
Yeah.
especially for someone who's new to investing or wants a more predictable return.
Right.
Of course, as with any investment, it's crucial to understand the specific terms and conditions.
Mm-hmm.
We'll dig into that more later.
Okay.
But it's definitely something to keep in mind.
So that definitely takes some of the fear factor out of it. Yeah. But who are they targeting with this whole digital property thing?
Yeah, who are they trying to attract as investors?
Right.
Their marketing points to a couple of key audiences.
Okay.
First, they're going after the younger, tech-savvy crowd.
Right. Millennials and Gen Z.
Exactly. People who are already comfortable with the online world and might be more open to this concept of digital ownership.
Yeah, they probably grew up with it.
Yeah, they even mention blockchain a lot.
Oh, interesting.
Which seems to be aimed at that, like, crypto-savvy demographic.
Right. Those are the people who are already kind of familiar with digital assets.
Exactly.
But they're also reaching out to people who are into, like, traditional real estate. Right? I mean, it seems like a weird crossover at first.
Yeah.
Why would someone who loves freaking houses be interested in virtual property?
Well, it's actually a pretty clever strategy when you think about it.
Okay. So
traditional real estate has high barriers to entry. You need a lot of money to buy a property.
Yeah.
And the market can be super competitive.
Oh, for sure.
Digital property, on the other hand, offers a way to get involved with a smaller initial investment.
Interesting.
Plus, as the digital economy keeps booming, the value of these properties could skyrocket.
So it's like jumping on the digital bandwagon early.
Yeah.
Hoping to ride that wave of growth.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the passive income aspect.
Right.
Anyone who's looking for a way to generate some extra cash flow without actively managing their investments, they would find that rental income appealing.
Now let's talk about this G Club they keep mentioning.
Okay.
It's this exclusive club with like an R1800 fee.
Right.
But it comes with access to events, AI tools, and even 2 free Class A properties when you join.
Oh, wow.
It sounds like a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah.
But is it really worth it?
That's where things get a little more nuanced.
Okay.
On the surface, those free properties and exclusive resources sound amazing, but we need to look deeper. Will those free properties generate enough rental income to offset the membership fee?
That's a good question.
Are the AI tools actually useful, or are they just a fancy marketing tactic?
So you're saying don't just jump in because it sounds shiny and new.
Right.
Do your research, figure out if the G Club actually aligns with your investment goals.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get down to the biggest question of all.
Right.
Is this whole Giantserver thing legit?
That's the million-rand question, right?
Right.
One thing that stands out to me is that Giantserver is very upfront about the legal side of things.
Okay.
They have a whole section on their website dedicated to legal information, which is a good sign.
Yeah, they're not trying to hide anything in the fine print.
Right.
But have they actually produced any of those tech millionaires they keep talking about?
Well, according to the information we have, some early investors are already earning 6-figure incomes.
Okay.
But Giantserver is still relatively young. They're very clear that this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's about long-term growth and potential.
So no overnight riches, but maybe a chance to build wealth over time.
Exactly.
Speaking of the people behind this, what can you tell us about Chocast, the founder?
So he's a South African entrepreneur
Okay.
with a background in digital innovation.
All right.
He started Plain House Corporation, which is the company behind Giantserver. And his big vision is to make wealth building accessible to everyone and empower people to participate in the digital economy.
So he's not just some random guy with a flashy website.
Right.
He's got a track record and a vision.
Yeah.
But before anyone goes all in on this, what kind of homework would you recommend doing?
I would say digging into Season-1's past ventures.
Okay.
Seeing if Plain House Corporation is a legitimate operation would be a smart first step. It's also crucial to look into the rules and regulations surrounding digital property in South Africa.
Right, because those will vary from country to country.
Exactly. And like with any investment, carefully reading through Giantserver's terms and conditions is a must.
Right. No matter how exciting an opportunity sounds, there's always some level of risk involved.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, there's this disclaimer on their site that really caught my eye.
Okay.
It says, past returns are only indication of average returns. Terms and conditions apply.
That's a crucial reminder that past performance doesn't guarantee future results.
Right.
You always have to weigh the potential rewards against the risks and make sure you understand all the terms and conditions before you jump in.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here, like what these digital properties are,
Yeah.
how Giantserver makes money for itself and its investors, and who might actually benefit from this whole thing.
Right. It's a fascinating concept.
But there's a lot more to unpack.
Definitely.
So sticking with this deep dive, we'll take a closer look at the potential risks and rewards of investing in Giantserver and explore whether digital property is really a sustainable investment in the long run.
Sounds good.
Stay with us. All right, so we've laid the groundwork, exploring what these digital properties are and how Giantserver aims to generate revenue.
Yeah, for itself and its investors.
Exactly. Yeah. But let's get into like the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
How much can someone actually expect to earn from these digital properties?
Well, Giantserver's digital property investor document, it outlines several investment tiers, each with varying initial capital requirements and potential returns.
Right, makes sense.
For instance, a Class A property on their Server-1 requires an initial investment of 5,000 Rand. And projects an annual return of 9,140 Rand.
So if my math is right, that's a monthly payout of around 345 Rand.
Right.
Not too shabby.
Not bad.
And that's just the rental income. Didn't you mention these properties are also supposed to appreciate in value?
Precisely. And in this particular example, Giantserver suggests a potential resale value increase of 50%.
Wow.
Of course, this is all based on their projections and assumptions.
Right.
So it's important to approach these figures with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah, it's not like a guaranteed return in the stock market or something. Yeah. There are always risks involved.
For sure.
But let's say I'm like a savvy investor who wants to dig deeper.
All right.
What factors should I be considering when evaluating the potential value of a digital property?
One key factor is the demand for server space in specific industries.
Okay.
So if you're looking at a property that's geared towards e-commerce, for example, you'd want to research the growth projections for that sector.
Makes sense.
Is online shopping expected to continue booming?
Right.
Or are there signs of a slowdown?
So you're not just looking at the property itself. You're looking at like the bigger economic picture.
Exactly.
What other factors come into play?
The reliability and performance of Giantserver's infrastructure are crucial.
Okay.
So they have a track record of providing stable, high-speed server access.
Right.
Have there been any major outages or security breaches?
Those are good questions.
These are the kinds of questions a diligent investor would want to research.
So it's not just about blindly trusting Giantserver's promises.
Right.
You need to look under the hood, so to speak.
Yeah.
And make sure their technology can actually deliver.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about those fixed annuity terms we touched on earlier.
Right.
While the idea of a guaranteed minimum return is enticing, it's crucial to understand the specifics. What's the actual interest rate they guarantee? Are there any hidden fees or penalties that could eat into your returns?
Right, because that phrase, terms and conditions apply, is doing a lot of heavy lifting on their website.
For sure.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype of potential returns, but you always have to read the fine print. Speaking of the bigger picture, we should also consider the long-term sustainability of digital property as an investment.
Right.
Technology moves at a breakneck pace.
It does.
What happens if a new, more efficient server technology emerges?
That's a great question.
Could these existing properties become obsolete?
It's certainly a possibility.
It's like when flat-screen TVs came out and everyone's old, bulky tube TVs suddenly became worthless.
Right, exactly.
Could something similar happen in the digital property world?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Giantserver compares its properties to physical land. But is that really a fair comparison?
I mean, I guess not.
Physical land is finite.
Right.
But digital space can theoretically expand infinitely.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So if the supply of digital property can grow exponentially, wouldn't that potentially drive down prices?
It could.
Like, could there be a point of oversaturation?
Yeah.
Where rental rates and resale values plummet?
Those are definitely valid concerns.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, as our world becomes even more reliant on digital infrastructure, the demand for server space is likely to keep increasing as well.
So it's this delicate dance between supply and demand, just like in any other market.
Exactly.
But in the digital realm, the rules are still being written. And the pace of change is just mind-boggling.
It's incredibly fast.
It's so thorough. Research and a balanced perspective are absolutely paramount.
I completely agree.
Don't let the excitement of a new investment opportunity cloud your judgment.
Right.
Take your time, gather information, and make informed decisions based on your individual financial goals and risk tolerance.
Absolutely.
Now let's circle back to Giantserver's ambitious goal of creating 500 tech millionaires by 2030.
Okay.
I admire the optimism, but is it a realistic target?
It's certainly a bold vision.
It is.
On one hand, we've seen time and again how the digital economy can create immense wealth.
Right, like think about the early adopters of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Or the founders of successful tech startups.
Exactly.
But becoming a millionaire, even in the digital age, usually requires a combination of factors.
Yeah.
Smart investments, a good dose of business savvy, and, let's face it, a bit of luck.
A little bit of luck never hurts.
Right.
Precisely while Giantserver provides a platform for digital property investment, it's ultimately up to the individual investor to make wise choices and manage their portfolio effectively.
So while Giantserver might provide the tools and resources, it's not a guaranteed path to millionaire status.
Exactly. It's crucial to approach this with realistic expectations.
Okay.
There are no shortcuts to wealth creation.
Right.
And investing in digital property, like any other investment, carries inherent risks.
So for those listening who are intrigued by Giantserver's proposition, what would be your key piece of advice?
Okay.
What should they keep in mind as they explore this further?
My top recommendation is to do your homework.
Okay.
Don't rely solely on Giantserver's marketing materials.
Right, go beyond the flashy website.
Exactly. Investigate the company's background, scrutinize their claims, and understand the regulations surrounding digital property in South Africa.
Okay.
Independent research is vital.
Great advice. And while you're doing that research, don't gloss over those terms and conditions.
Right.
Understand the fees, the risks, and what guarantees are actually in place before you commit any funds.
Absolutely. And it's equally crucial to consider your own financial goals and risk tolerance.
Okay.
Are you looking for short-term gains or long-term growth? How comfortable are you with the volatility that often comes with emerging markets and innovative investment models?
Those are all critical questions to ask yourself before making any decisions.
Yeah.
And remember, diversification is key.
Absolutely.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Especially when dealing with a relatively new and untested investment, like digital property.
Sound advice. And finally, stay informed. The digital landscape is constantly shifting. Keep up with technological advancements and market trends that might impact the value of your investments.
Things change so quickly.
They do. Complacency can be costly in such a dynamic environment.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
From the specifics of Giantserver's offerings to the broader implications of digital property in a rapidly changing world.
It's a fascinating topic.
It is, but there's one more layer we need to peel back.
Okay.
The ethical and societal implications of this new digital frontier.
Right.
Let's dive into those fascinating and potentially challenging aspects next. We've been unpacking Giantserver Properties, this really intriguing platform that's taking traditional real estate concepts and applying them to the digital world.
It's a fascinating space.
But beyond the nuts and bolts of investment, you know, there's a whole other layer we need to consider, the ethical and societal impact of this whole digital land grab.
Right. That's a crucial point.
It is.
Whenever you have a new frontier, especially one with the potential to generate wealth,
it's important to examine the implications for society as a whole.
Absolutely. So let's dive into some of the ethical considerations.
Okay.
One thing that immediately comes to mind is the potential for digital inequality.
Right.
If owning these digital properties becomes like a key driver of wealth, what happens to those who can't afford to buy in?
It's a valid concern. We've already seen how the digital divide can worsen existing inequality.
All right, in areas like education.
Yeah, education, healthcare, economic opportunity.
Exactly.
And if owning digital property becomes another marker of privilege, it could further entrench those disparities.
It's like creating a two-tiered system.
Yeah.
Where the wealthy have access to and control over the very infrastructure that powers the digital world.
Right.
While those who are already struggling get left behind.
Exactly.
That doesn't seem very equitable.
No, it's a valid concern, and it raises questions about access and control.
Right. Like who gets to decide how this digital space is used?
Yeah. Who benefits from its growth? Is it truly a democratic system?
Right.
Or does it favor those with the most resources?
Those are all important questions.
Giantserver talks a lot about democratizing wealth building.
Yeah.
But can that really be achieved in a system that requires upfront capital to participate?
It's a bit of a contradiction.
It does seem that way.
That's where the concept of their G Club becomes particularly interesting.
Okay.
On the one hand, it offers a seemingly lower barrier to entry.
Right, because you get those free properties.
Exactly, by giving members 2 free Class A properties.
Mm-hmm.
But that R1800 membership fee is still a significant cost for some.
Yeah, especially if you're just starting out.
Exactly, and it could inadvertently create a tiered system within the digital property landscape.
It's like a VIP club within an already exclusive club.
Right.
It makes you wonder about the potential unintended consequences of these models.
Yeah, transparency and careful consideration of these potential pitfalls are essential.
Okay, so we've touched on digital inequality and access. What about the environmental impact of all this?
Right.
We know that data centers, those massive buildings filled with servers,
Yeah.
consume huge amounts of energy.
They do. That's a critical consideration.
Yeah.
As the demand for server space grows, so will the energy demands of data centers.
Right.
And this has significant implications for carbon emissions
Mm-hmm.
and the overall sustainability of this model.
It's a good reminder that these digital properties don't exist in some sort of energy-free vacuum.
Right.
They have a real-world footprint.
Yeah,
And it's important to acknowledge that.
absolutely. Giantserver and any company operating in this space
Mm-hmm.
needs to prioritize sustainable practices.
So like what kind of things?
Investing in renewable energy,
Okay.
maximizing energy efficiency, and exploring innovative cooling technologies for data centers
Interesting.
will be crucial in mitigating the environmental impact.
So it seems like navigating this new world of digital property investment
Yeah,
requires a delicate balance.
it does.
The potential for innovation and wealth creation is exciting,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't ignore the ethical and societal challenges.
Absolutely. We need to consider all sides of the equation.
We've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
from the basics of digital property ownership
Yeah.
to the complexities of rental rates, resale values, and the potential for both financial success and ethical pitfalls.
It's been a fascinating discussion.
It has, but as always, the most important part of this deep dive is what you take away from it.
That's right. What resonates with you?
What questions are you wrestling with?
Exactly.
And most importantly, how will you apply this knowledge to your own decisions about investing technology
Right.
and the future you want to create?
We encourage you to continue researching, exploring, and engaging in conversations about these important topics.
Yeah,
The digital world is rapidly evolving,
it is.
and it's up to all of us to shape its trajectory
Right.
in a way that benefits both individuals and society as a whole.
Well said. It's been a fascinating journey exploring Giantserver properties.
I agree.
There's a lot to be excited about.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've discussed, it's crucial to proceed with both enthusiasm and a healthy dose of critical thinking.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Until next time, keep diving deep.